In today's video, we are going to be talking about reincarnation using Elizabeth from the 7 Deadly Sins. If you are not familiar with what this channel does by this point in time, because maybe you are new, I explore ideas that are hidden meanings within animes that relate to your real life that you can apply to either make more money, have better conversations, and or interact in ways and change your whole belief system to understand the world in a new way that you had never understood it in beforehand. If this is things that you're interested in, you can click that subscribe button completely free, or you can book a free 30-minute call if you do find this information in this video valuable, which I give it my best effort and set out my best intentions to deliver upon this said acquirization of knowledge to help you live a more meaningful life. So with all of that being said, let's jump right on in. So this is more of a belief structure from like the Buddhist perspective along with the, not necessarily the Christian perspective, because Christians, they are more into the belief system that once you die in this form, you die and you just go off to heaven, where I'm under the impression, same thing with Buddhism, and this is kind of going to be my own little belief system structure because there are things that I myself have experienced and I want to share with you because they have changed my life in more ways than I could think not, even though sometimes it is a matter of breaking down that old building to build up a brand new one. And that's exactly what this is doing, because in Buddhism, they are more a fan of reincarnation. And if you think about it this way, and I've kind of touched on these concepts, these tactics in a different way, so I'm going to use it in a different manner. And obviously, since you watch 7 Deadly Sins and you're familiar with Elizabeth and her transference of dying and being born and dying and being born over 100 different times, I believe she's on her 107th reincarnation right now, which is something that you yourself also have as well too, because maybe you have different gifts, you have different abilities, you have different understandings, you have different interests that you didn't originally have. And there's this book, there's an author that I was listening to a couple days ago called Rudolf Steiner. If you've ever listened to his stuff, it's more on the spiritual, metaphysical type of realm. And he talks about these ideas, these concepts of like trying to figure out what your past regressions or your past reincarnations were. Whatever you're good at in this life typically means that you weren't necessarily good at that in that past life. Whatever you're bad at in this life typically means that you were good in that in a past life. It's a different way of viewing the world. It's a different way of experiencing it, because then you can identify where your strengths lie. You don't necessarily have to go back into those past life regressions or anything like that unless you want to. You're not really going to find, like, you can find certain things. It just really kind of depends on what you want to. But I'm more under the impression of like, you're here now to experience your being in this said form that you're in right now. So it's better to experience what you have to live out in this current way compared to having to live out in a different way. So there's also yogic concepts around karma, around like agami karma, which I believe is, if I'm remembering this correctly. And this is all just me going off of the top of my head, bro. Like, this is how I retain information. Some of you might be like, wow, this is crazy. Some of you might be like, you're talking nonsense. But, like, this is just information that I've learned and acquired and tested out on my own. Gummy karma, I believe, is the karma that you have in this lifetime that you have to fulfill, because all karma is, and that's kind of why we have reincarnations, because we're having to, like, have and fulfill different karmic debts or different karmic life experiences that we have had in the past, and everything that we do does have a karmatic effect. So like whatever you do, like let's say you are to go to the gym, the effect of that is you will gain muscle or you may lose weight, depending on if you also eat healthy or you don't eat healthy. Like it depends on multiple different factors. Another prime example is like if you jump out of an airplane, that you have a cause, and the cause is you jumping out of the airplane, the effect is you're going to fall. Or you have a cause of like throwing, like let's say the Newton cradles, if you've ever seen those, there's the 5 balls where you hit one and it goes over and then it hits the other one, but the 3 in the middle don't move. Depending on if you only choose one, if you choose 2, then 2 on the other side are going to go, and then 2 on the opposite side. It's the same thing, the cause and effect. Whatever you are putting out, you're going to get back in equal return. It's why I'm pushing this content a little bit more than I have been in the past, because I'm just like on this role of like, let me share this stuff. Like, let me share this stuff. Plus I'm looking to be of service in the best ways that I possibly can. And I have a lot more energy than I did a couple whiles ago, couple moons ago. Nonetheless, it's still something that I find very interesting, because like when it comes down to reincarnation, we are all just different beings. And you at one point in time, or me at one point in time, we could have known each other in a different life, in a different experience, in a different being, even though the basic rule in physics, the basic rule in science, physiology, physics, I'll just say, is like everything's happening everywhere all at once. There is no progression of time forward or backwards, because all there ever is the present moment. The best way that you can think about this is, let's say I'm in time zone A and it is 10 a.m. You're in time zone B and it is, let's say, 2 p.m. or something like that. But like to both of us, it is now. Like it's in the present. It's like, hey, what time is it now for you? And we say now. It's not like, hey, what time is it then? Even though your time is a little bit different than my time, but like the only time that there ever actually is this present moment. So that's why when I say like we are reincarnated and you're resonating with these things that I myself have had is because we aren't just these bodies that we're in right now. It sounds crazy. It's a little philosophical, but it's also a fact from what I've been able to realize and come to. And you can test this out yourself if that is something that you are wanting to do. Because if you think about it, like, what is that thing that keeps you moving forward? What is that thing that inspires you? What is that thing that like lights you up on the inside? And like, I don't know if you've ever heard stories of this at all or not, but like I was talking with a buddy of mine the other day, and sometimes like at nursing homes or like hospitals, when like people are on like their last leg or something like that, sometimes people will report that they saw like something leave their body and go somewhere else. And it's like, interesting. What could that be? Because we have also talked about this, and I talked about it in a different video around the Jujutsu Kaisen, which if you also watch that, I highly recommend checking that out. It was around Mahito, I think I said his name right, Patchface, and the soul. What came first, the soul or the body? And just go check out that video after you finish watching this one, because it is very insightful and impactful with the things that he ends up saying. And it's this similar concept, because just because like, let's say you get injured or you lose a foot or an arm or something like that, and I don't wish that upon you or myself by any means, this is just an analogy that I'm going to use to drive the point home. Or you can even think about the dude that has no arms and no legs. I don't know if you've ever heard of him or seen him. Like, just look up like motivational speaker, no arms, no legs, and you'll look at him and be like, is he any less human than you or I? You could be like, yeah, he doesn't have legs, he doesn't have arms, but like, he's still here, he still has thoughts, he still has an experience, he still has minds, he still has a way of being able to communicate and share his story with other people, and yet he doesn't have all the parts. Like, so does that make him any less human? No, it just means that his soul, his spirit, his reincarnation decided not to give him arms and legs. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually a great thing for him to have, because now he gets to experience, and now he gets to be an inspiration. Now he gets to motivate other people and hopefully give them a different perspective that they didn't originally have. It's like, if this dude that is less capable than I am right now in my current state is able to do these things that I also would like to do, or similar things that I would like to do, and he's able to do this, and he has had it probably 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times worse than I ever have, and you could be like, no, there's no way that he's had it worse. But like, bro, he has no arms, he has no legs. So yeah, he probably has it worse than you. And yet he's doing things that you yourself only ever imagined to do. And this is where I say it does all still start in the imagination. You do have to be willing to like step out of your own like way of viewing the world. And if you think that the world is going to be in the place wherever you want it to be, wherever that is, where like you go to this place and then all of a sudden you're in this new magical place other than here, I just have to say I'm sorry, bro. But I don't see that that's how that works. I've seen it more as like we interact and we come back here to fulfill our duties in the best ways that we possibly can. That's why I say like looking into astrology, looking into human design, figuring out those different aspects to yourself to help you self-actualize who you are. Because if you're able to self-actualize who you are, then you're going to find a lot more fulfillment, a lot more joy, because then you're going to go through life on easy mode compared to on hard mode. Where if you aren't using your past life regressions, if you aren't using your past life like reincarnations, then all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh no, I don't know. And now why is life so hard when life is meant to be easy? Everybody has told you, and you've probably been conditioned to believe that you have to do these hard things to be able to have these great things happen. But then the Netflix CEO, he has $235 billion net worth. And he says that working hard is a scam. Like, he's like, you don't have to work hard. You just have to know the right information. You have to know the right people. You have to know the right ways of doing it. And that was his incarnation in this said world that he's in right now. So being able to identify that, like, whatever you did in the past, you're probably going to do in the future again. And I have a video coming up tomorrow that I highly recommend you check out, because it's going to be around fate and how certain people are destined to meet, because I also believe in that as well too. So we'll check on that here in a bit. And I'm always obviously still questioning and challenging my beliefs and like what I know to be true, because like if somebody else, like let's say you and I come together and you give me a whole different perspective or spiel, or you want to say do like a podcast or something along those lines, you're like, hey, like this is the things that I believe, and I'm like, okay, like cool, could you share a little bit more about this? Could you like give me a more in-depth ideas around whatever you have going on or whatever it is, and then we'll explore that and we'll go down there. I might not necessarily agree with it, you might not necessarily agree with me, but like we at least can have an open dialogue that'll hopefully inspire both of us and maybe other people along the ways to be able to go do what they want to do. But this is where I say, like, just because, like, and here's another analogy that maybe you'll make, like, if you drive a car, this was one of the analogies that I heard, and I quite liked it quite a bit. So, like, when you drive a car, like, imagine the fuel is your soul, okay? So, like, each time you have to put the fuel into the car, and I'm kind of changing his analogy a little bit that I ended up hearing, because I want to make it more resonant with myself and with you at this moment in this point in time, because as I was talking about just a moment ago, the only time there is now, and you can only talk in this present moment and watch one thing at one time. You can't watch multiple things at once. You can only pay attention to one thing at once, regardless of what anybody else is telling you. Even if you do like have multiple things going on at once, you're bouncing back and forth from one another to one another to one another. So with that being said, the analogy is like, imagine the gas in your car is your soul. So each time like your car gets empty, you have to recharge, you have to fill up that soul so that then you can go to the next day. And that can be seen as sleep. You can be going into your sleep patterns. You can be going into sleep to recharge the car, to recharge the vehicle, your body that you're in right now. So maybe an electrical car might work a little bit better because like you plug that into the wall and then it reboots and recharges itself up while you're sleeping. Just like as you're sleeping, you're recharging your soul for the next day so that then your body can interact and explore in the world in the ways that it needs to explore in. Or let's say you don't get a night's sleep or you don't charge your car the night beforehand. How are you going to feel the next day? You're probably going to feel really groggy. You're going to be upset. Your car's not going to go in the ways that it needs to. You might only be able to go like a certain part of the way before you need to stop and recharge yourself to be able to gain and continue moving forward. It's the exact same thing with reincarnation. Why I say that, like, you are not who you think you are. You're just the byproduct of your environment. And that's why I'm such a big proponent on you scheduling a call down below, because if I can help you identify what is your past conditioning, what is the things that are actually yours, you'll be able to live a more fulfilling life and stop living for other people. And you might be like, I can't. Everybody's telling me that this is the way that I have to be and these are the things that I have to do. And I'm just like, well, who says? Is it you or the other people? And I know you already know the answer to that because you already said it up in the first point that everybody else told you that you had to be this way. But what if you decide to be a different way? What if you decide to be the version that you wanted to be? The reincarnated version of yourself that you came here to be so that you could protect and fulfill and heal all the other people that are around you. What would that person look like? What would that person do? What would that person say? How would the person interact with the world? Who would they talk with? Where would they go? What are the things that they would interact with? What are the things that they would say? How would they behave? How would they talk? How would they say exercises? Like, you got to think about these things. Like, what is the thing that you yourself would want to find the most impact and the most value out of, and go do that said thing, regardless of what anybody else thinks. It's kind of like I was talking about in the video a couple days ago where, like, people don't like My Hero Academia, but that doesn't mean that you can't like it. People probably don't like things that I say. That doesn't mean that you can't like it. That doesn't mean that you can't share it with your friends. That doesn't mean that you can't buy these, like, courses and these other, like, coaching things that, like, I provide to you that I'm solving the problem for. Like, it really just comes down to what you want best out of your life, and realizing that, like, you have been here multiple times before, being able to tap into those past lives, those past experiences, those past beings, those past areas of yourself, and being able to identify, like, well, I was strong here, wow, I was strong here, wow, I was strong here. Okay, like, I can probably be strong here now in this lifetime, and that means that if I am already in heaven, if I'm going to come back, then I might as well do the best that I can do in this set environment so that then I can set my next version up for an even more higher likelihood of success and fulfillment, along with being able to be present and happy and fulfilled in this said life that we're living in right now. Because if everything's just a dream, if everything's just a reincarnation of past experiences and past events, and everything's just a karmic, then we might as well put good out into the world so we can start getting good back, even though everything's all neutral. But still, at the end of the day, like, you say hello, you have a conversation, you interact with somebody, in all likelihood that's going to inspire them to go do this that thing, even if you never get to see the fruits of those labors come to fruition. Awesome. Yeah, I like these types of videos. I know you do too, so I'll talk soon.